Okay, so the next step after you put some Goof Off or Goo Gone on there, and you might want to leave it on there for 5 or 10 minutes and then come back, is to kind of get the residue, the adhesive residue off. Sometimes I'll go ahead and keep my blade with me and just see if I can, kind of start getting it off where there maybe were some problem spots. But normally this Goof Off will just kind of start taking it off immediately. So I've got a little bit on the blade now, and I want to wipe that off. And then I'll also just try to start pushing it in one direction so that I get all the residue at the end of my stroke, instead of dragging it back and forth across the box. But that seems to be getting most of it off. It's looking good. If you need to, you can put a second coat on there. But looks like it's working. Also remember to do this on both sides. You do have 2 sets of numbers. And then sometimes the Goof Off kind of runs down here to the bottom, so you'll see me just kind of making sure I get that cleaned off as well. And then the telltale is just to rub your hand over there so I can still feel some gooiness over here. Somehow, I think it's the newspaper folks put these pieces of tape on here. They kind of make your box look jankety. It's too bad that they can't just leave that off. Sometimes I just take all of this off anyway, but if it's trying to give a message to somebody, okay. But it's too bad that you can kind of see how poorly that's done. I might go ahead and take that off as well, and then they can put a new piece of tape on later. But yeah, so that's kind of what that's about. And once you have that surface cleaned, you're going to go ahead and, like I said, sometimes to bring out the luster, I might go ahead and put some WD-40 on it. So let's just see if that helps shine it up a little bit. Just kind of brush it on there. Ooh, yeah, that does a little bit. Kind of bring back that gloss. And then to make sure I've gotten rid of all the WD-40 or the Goof Off, anything that might be a solvent or that might not allow the numbers to stick, I'll throw on Windex after that. So just any kind of cleaner like this will get rid of it. So I'll go ahead and do that now. But that's just to make sure that numbers stick. You want your numbers to stick. But it's still you can still kind of see that luster coming out in the paint, that original paint job. I'll also give you the specs on the paint. It's all in the ACC guidelines, but you'll want to definitely follow the paint specs. Some people I've seen will just coat this black, and for mailboxes that got completely oxidized and the paint was gone or mostly gone, where this is almost white or the color of the aluminum that's underneath here, I'll just keep this handy. This is just some, like I was talking about, enamel paint, but it would just allow me to touch up. I've only had to do this on 2 out of 50 mailboxes, but just touch up this newspaper tube a little bit so that it gives that black background so the white numbers pop and look really good. It's an easy fix. It's not necessarily in keeping specifically with the ACC, but honestly it looks pretty good and a lot better than it was. So that's kind of the thinking. But do remember the font, the paint color, mailboxes, you can get these at Lowe's too, and again I'll show you that on another video. You have to modify the box a little bit to make it work. But yeah, this box is just about ready to get the numbers. And you'll also see that once I've cleaned everything off, you'll see an impression of the old numbers, and just so that there's nothing that comes through there or that you can't see those old numbers, I try to just put the numbers right on top of where they were. And I've noticed in the neighborhood, sometimes they center them, sometimes they're off center a little bit, but it doesn't matter as long as you have it visible and level. That's the other key. Make it level. All right, thanks.